I sit at the tech booth, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
You want this open or closed?
Open, just so I can see who walks by.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Hello. As you come in, let me try and raise this up a little bit. It's hard to actually see what I'm gonna see until it's started. Let's try that and see if that's better. As you come in, please say your name, where you're watching from, all of that kind of goodness. Sorry, it looks like I'm looking, I don't know where the camera is on it. If I look there, am I looking at you guys? Hello, who's here? I'm Lorella, I'm not a farm girl. Welcome to Live. We'll get going in a minute. If you haven't been at one of my live streams before, if you don't know me, hello Cheryl. You are here every week. You must be a night owl. If you haven't met me before, I moved my family from Los Angeles to rural Missouri 4 years ago. And I say 4 years, you know it's been 5 this month, in a couple weeks, to lead a more organic lifestyle with closer ties to our food and to our land. I'm learning how to farm and garden and raise animals, and I'm taking you along on the journey with me. So I see we've got 5 people here now. Where are you watching from? What's your weather like? And what are you doing on the 2nd day of January? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Cheryl. Fibromyalgia is not fun at all. And so who else is with us? Where are you watching from? And how's your day going? Have you got a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, something? This is unsweet iced tea with blackberry. I don't think there are a lot of places in the world that really drink iced tea like America does. It's one of our favorite beverages. So I hope everybody's settling into the new year. It's just me tonight for now. Chris may come over if he gets done with the testing he's doing at work. It's still a holiday in Scotland today. Hello, thank you, Kathleen. My hair looks good. I'm growing it out, but it's to that point where, hello, Mama Dean, good to have you in the house. How's your weather there? It's at that point, I usually try to grow my hair long, and then when it gets about this length is when I'm like, I gotta cut it all off again. So I'm about a 6-month girl for any one hairstyle, and it's almost to that point. But I am kind of liking it, so I might not cut it for a while. Tonight I'm going to tell a story on myself of when I flooded a basement of somebody else's house and some lessons that I learned from it. I have a question. How many of you who are watching saw the picture that I posted today on YouTube that announced my live stream? I only got 1 like on it, and I don't know if it's because people aren't seeing it or if they're just scrolling by it. And either one is okay. It just would be good to know. All right, Kathleen saw it. That's good. Kathleen, what's your weather like there today? And Kathleen, if you guys don't know Mama Grows, she is in Utah. You commented. I didn't see the comment on it. Thank you, Cheryl. So that must have been since I last looked at it, because when I last looked at it, there weren't any comments on it yet. 18 degrees, sun, but no wind. That's pretty cold. That's colder than it is here. We are in the 30s today, so we're right around 0 Celsius. And 18 degrees would be negative Celsius something, but I don't know the exact conversion. All right, we have about 10 people watching. We are 5:19. So do you guys want me to go ahead and start telling my story, or should I wait and give people a chance to join in? Wait a few more minutes or get going? You guys tell me. Mama Dean is about 3 hours south of Mama Grows. What else can we tell you about? My family and I spent the weekend in Kansas City at a conference. We came home yesterday. And I'm actually going to be telling a story about my daughter's boyfriend, who is right in the other room. So I don't know if you can hear me or not. Well, looks like there are people popping in and out. I will go ahead and get started. finally below freezing there again in Scotland. Most people wouldn't be so happy, but my horses are fat. Did you say horses are fat? Like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start. I need to start burning some calories. That's funny. We actually had to start feeding our horses separately because we had one that was losing weight, and her teeth are fine, but our other horse, Lady, Missy was losing weight. Lady is a fatty and a pig, and she just would eat her own food, and then she would go bump Missy out of her. We even had them in separate troughs, and she'd go bump Missy out of the trough. And we've done the heat hanging feeding things, and so we started feeding Missy in a closed stall so she can eat all of her feed. And then they have free choice hay out all the time. So she's looking a little better now. She was getting a little bit bony through the hips. What kind of horses do you have, Cheryl? So, like I said, I'm sorry. When I look here, is that where I'm looking at, you guys? First of all, that's my question. Second question is the light reflecting on these glasses? It will help me read your comments better if I wear them. So, if someone could let me know about that. And I will go ahead and start telling my story about Grace. This is a story about Grace and the lessons I learned when I was young. This was probably around 1990-91. I was in college, but I was home for the summer. Home at that time was Alaska. So when I go up here, it's light, but down there it's not bad, and it's not distracting. Okay, good to know. So I will try and keep it here because then I'm looking at you guys and the comments also. But it feels weird because my picture for me is over here. So, sorry. So I was a college student. I was home for the summer. Home was Alaska, and my parents had moved to a different town in Alaska than the town where I grew up. And after I stayed a couple weeks with them, I wasn't able to find a job, and I wanted a summer job. And so I went back to Anchorage, which is a bigger city than Fairbanks, which is where they were. And so I was bouncing around from friend's house to friend's house, and I had an opportunity to house sit for my best friend's parents. And she had gotten married, my best friend, and had her place of her own. And her parents were going away for a couple weeks in the summer, and so they paid me to house sit. And in Alaska, a lot of the houses are split level homes, which, just in case you don't have that in your climate, basically you walk in, ground level's here, and there's a landing, but then there's a stairway going up and a stairway going down, so that your bottom half of your house, the bottom floor of your house, is underground from about 5 feet down underground, and then just the windows there's like short windows, and then there's the top floors above that. And that's what most of the houses there look like. So the downstairs of their home, they had a guest room and a living room and a laundry room, and they had some fish tanks down there, and so they were paying me to take care of their home. And in that time, they left detailed instructions on how to care for their fish, how to care for their flowers outside, and if I had any problems, how to contact them, like the places they were staying. Remember, this is before cell phones. This is 30 years ago, almost now, 28 or so years ago, and how to contact if there was something wrong at the house that I needed help with, to go to their neighbor, a certain one of their neighbors, and get help from him. And so things were fine, but near the end of the stay, I put the soaker hose on the flowers outside, and then I left for the day. But I turned the soaker hose on full, and it was in the flower bed right beside the house. And somewhere in that wall there was a leak, and their whole living room floor of their basement was flooded when I got back. So it was like squishy, wet carpet and padding. And I did not handle it very well. I freaked out a little bit, and I tried to call them. I called the hotel, I think, that I had listed for that day, but I couldn't get a hold of them. And I did not, oops is right. I did not go, and in fact, this is the first time I've really talked about this since then at any length. I've mentioned it maybe once or twice to somebody. Hi, Two Family Homestead, thanks for stopping by. but it's obviously not something I'm very proud of, especially because of what happened next. So I did not call the neighbor that they gave me the phone number of to come help. I didn't tell any of my friends, but I called my dad, and my dad said, you need a shop vac, and you need some big fans, and you just got to vacuum up the water, and you got to roll the carpet back if you can and dry it up. So for those of you who are just joining, I'm telling the story of when I flooded my friend's parents' basement when I was in college. And hey Roy, welcome. And then I did not handle it very well. So the story gets better or worse from here, depending on your perspective. If you enjoy, what's that word, Freudenstauner or something, Freuden something about, I don't even know the German word that means like enjoying somebody else's discomfort. So I did the best I could, got it as dry as I could. And then on the day they were supposed to come home, I left them a note and I drove away. I didn't even face them. I didn't fess up to it. And a few days later, I get a call from my friend's mother, and she says, can you come over? You know, we'd like to talk to you. And so I go over there, slink over there like a dog with my tail between my legs, you know, just embarrassed and just felt horrible naturally, as you would, and didn't know what to do or what to say. And even for years afterwards, whenever I thought of this, my face would just blush bright red. It's only now, probably within the last couple of years, that I can actually talk about this and I'm not crying and I'm not flustered, because it was such a horrible experience for me. But the reason that I wanted to talk about it tonight is because she was truly gracious, and she insisted on paying me. Oh, did I mention that their fish and their flowers all died? Yeah. Their fish and their flowers all died. And you have to remember, this is my best friend's parents. I was in her wedding. She was in my wedding. I was maid of honor. She was matron of honor. We were tight. We spent weekends at each other's house, you know, super, super close. We're still super close to this day. So it wasn't like I was never going to see these people again either. I had to face them. She insisted on paying me. And she said graciously, you know, things happen. Things go wrong. So we're not upset with you that happened. And this basement has flooded before. So we have a known issue in our house. She said, yes, I overwatered the plants because they had a soaker hose in a flower bed right next to the outside wall of the house. And what I did, for those of you who didn't hear it, I turned it on full blast instead of on a slow drip. And I left for the day and forgot to turn it off. And when I came home that evening, they had a flooded basement. And I don't know if they had to replace the carpet. I mean, I dried it up as best as I could with the shop vac and with fans and stuff, but to this day, I don't know like what it cost them to repair what I did. And their fish all died and their flowers all died. I mean, can you imagine that? Just coming home to that kind of a mess. And she said, we're not upset that you didn't do that, but we want you to take this as a learning lesson, because we left you phone numbers and we left you instructions what to do if anything went wrong. And our neighbor knows that we've had this issue and he could have helped you with all this, and you didn't turn to the resources that you were given, and you didn't follow the instructions you were given, or this wouldn't have happened in the first place. You know, and she said, so maybe you need to either consider that if you're going to take on some kind of a burden or responsibility, whether you have the time and whether you can be responsible to do it, basically, is what she said. I don't remember exactly her words, but I just remember just like feeling, there's a verse in the Bible, I think, that's like, you heap coals upon your enemy by blessing them. And that's kind of how I felt. I just felt like, bye Carter, that's cool. Hey Carter, can you lock the front door? Oh no, you can't, because then I would be stuck in here without a key. Never mind. All right, sorry guys. So it was just this very humbling experience, very horrific, embarrassing experience that for years haunted me, that I haven't even been able to talk about because it was so bad. And you know, when people talk about what was your most embarrassing moment, yes, Kathleen, the homeowner did handle it very well. And as an adult, I have remembered that every time I have someone house sit. But I probably should have told this part of the story first and then gone back and told that, because we just went away for the weekend and we came home yesterday, and when I drove up and got out of the car, so my daughter's boyfriend did house sitting for us and took care of all of our animals. And when he knew we were coming home yesterday evening, so he had done afternoon chores but then left before dark. So we told him we would close up the birds when we got home. And when we got there, it was dark, so they were in the coop, but when they saw us drive up, they all came running out of the coop and started calling, and I thought, oh, did they miss me? You know, what's going on? So I went over there and looked. Their feeder was absolutely empty. I refilled it, and they ate it down to like this much. And I'm like, did he even remember to feed these girls? They're acting like they haven't eaten in days. And Chris goes, well, none of them are dead, so they probably did get fed. And this morning I was like, you know, should I say something to him? Should I ask him about it or not? And then I remembered that house sitting experience. And I was like, hello, honey, hollow, homestead. And I was like, oh, yeah. He didn't kill all my fish and kill all my flowers and flood my house. So I guess I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to pay him and smile and be like, because the chickens probably did get fed. They're probably just greedy girls. But it was really a lesson in grace for me, and really a lesson in forgiveness. And I didn't want to be paid for that job, but she did. Oh, hey, Mom H. You did change your channel name. Well, hello. Okay, I'll remember that now. And good choice on your channel name. I guess I need to go watch. You probably have an update about that. So that embarrassing story was told to tell you that it was a story of grace and of how an example. Hello, One Acre Under God. Welcome. Thanks for joining in. Of forgiveness and how to handle it, and being so young. And that really made an impression on me, and probably much more of an impression on me than had she been angry and yelled. And as a matter of fact, they have now retired to the Las Vegas area, outside of Las Vegas, and my friend still lives in Alaska. So last summer I took a week-long job in Vegas, and then I called my friend. I was like, hey, if I take this job, can you come the weekend after and we can hang out at your parents' house? And I hung out with them all weekend last summer, and they were just so nice and so gracious, and they never mentioned it once. I mean, I would be tempted to be like, hey, remember the time that you flooded my house? Yeah, go ahead, type it up, and then I'll try to read it. On this screen, my the comments go away, so if I have to, I'll tap it and bring it back up. You know, but they didn't say one thing about it. And we were driving around, my friend and I, without her parents, and I was like, yeah, I still remember that time. And she goes, oh, I'd completely forgotten about it. So they never talk about it in their family. They don't think anything about it. I'm probably the only one that it has stuck with all this time. But it did make an impression on me. And then, so that's one thing that I want to talk about. Being gracious with others is something that I'm going to focus on. That I try to focus on, that I try to be kind always. I saw a quote recently. It was by one of the Dalai Lamas, and it says, as much as it is possible, always be kind. It is always possible. So I thought that's quite the challenge. It's I strive to be kind, and often I find that I am kinder to those outside my home than to those in my home. All right, so Cheryl says, my neighbor Ruth was a stuck-up, mean woman, had to always do one better with everyone, never spoke to anyone unless she needed something. Oh, and Roy just had to patch your sump. Yes, so Roy, the basement that I flooded, I don't know if you came in at this point, was a finished basement, so it was carpeted. It was their TV room, the room with their fish tank in it. It was, yeah, so different. It was a split level home, so it was a fully finished downstairs area as opposed to like an unfinished basement. Oh, Kathleen says maybe we should apply this to our kids. Yeah, I don't know. I find I am not always as gracious with my kids as I am with those outside my family. Okay, so neighbor Ruth went away for 2 weeks and asked another neighbor to water her plants, left a note saying she had to take her shoes off because of her new carpet. All right, so we're going to see what happens with her neighbor Ruth. So I would challenge you all to try to be gracious and kind to those you come in contact with, and especially to those who live in your home. But I also want to challenge you to be gracious with yourselves. Oh, you haven't finished. Did it flood? When you patched it up, Roy? Did you have a flood in there? I was talking to my friend, a different friend, Renee, this week. Renee's father died last week, and they had the funeral yesterday, New Year's Eve. And when I spoke to her, she was having a hard time allowing herself to grieve because she was taking care of her mother and taking care of arrangements and the family. And so I encouraged her and I said, you know, you are also grieving, and you need to give yourself the grace you would give someone else, and that it's okay to say, I need to be alone for a little while, or and then go drive your dad's car, or go lay down on his bed and cry, or go take a walk, or whatever you need to do, and then come back, and they will be back, and they'll be okay till you get back. And I think that sometimes we don't give ourselves the grace we would give our friends. All right, I'm going to read what Cheryl says. Neighbors had enough of her, watered the new... Did they... Come on. What happened? Neighbors had enough of her, watered the new seat pile living room carpet, and sprinkled cress seeds on the carpet. Oh my goodness. They grew stuff on her carpet? I don't know if I would do that. I want to make sure that I have all live chat messages showing and not just the top chat. There we go. That's better. I cannot even imagine doing that to somebody, Cheryl. Oh my goodness. That's the opposite kind of behavior I'm talking about. I would not have the nerve to do that to somebody. Did she move? What did she do? I can't imagine. What would you do if you came home to your carpet growing? That is so bizarre. That is like funny. It's funny, but like shockingly so. She was never such a cow to everyone in the street again, but never asked anyone to look after her house again. Yeah, I guess not. Hello, Rosanna. Thanks for joining in. Roy, I'm glad you fixed it before it flooded your basement. Hey, Rebecca. Thanks for joining in. So we've had a couple more people join in. I think everybody has said hello and everybody knows me. I guess I'll say though. Oh, and Vicky's here. Hi, Vicky. Thanks for joining. You just missed our stories. They're kind of funny. If you have time later, go back and watch. Especially read Cheryl's. Roy says, "What would you do? Harvest some parlor salad?" Yeah, because I was like, "What would you do?" I was thinking like lawsuit time. I don't know. I mean, that's crazy. Okay. Thanks, Kathleen, for adding that link. So, I'm going to say hello again. If you are new to my channel, I'm Lorella. My channel is Not a Farm Girl, a Homestead Adventure. 5 years ago, I moved my family from Los Angeles to rural Missouri to live a more organic lifestyle with closer ties to our land and our food. I'm learning to grow my own food. I'm learning to garden and to lead a simpler life, a life on the farmstead, on the homestead. And today, as I was scrolling through YouTube, I saw, this is our wrap up from last year. This is our plans for next year. And so I thought, well, I could talk about that tonight, or, I could talk about something else, and then I was remembering the story of flooding that basement, because of Ethan and my chickens. It made me think of that. And so I thought, well, maybe I could talk about that and talk about grace. Oh, I want to show you guys my cup. I picked out this cup from home. It says Grace Wins. And this, of course, is referring to the song and the grace of Christ. But I think in our lives, grace wins when we can truly be graceful persons, when we can carry grace with us. This cup was made for me by a friend at church and given to me for Christmas. It was very thoughtful. It was filled with chocolates, so even better when I got it. And now I have it filled with Sonic tea. Oh, you're getting your garden ready. I'm so glad to hear that, Vicki. Rebecca, I did continue cutting my own hair from that time of that video until maybe about a year or 2 years later, when I had finally lost so much of the original shape that I couldn't follow it anymore, and then I went and got it cut. Yeah, it was really nice. So, and let's see. So does anybody else have a story of when you were shown grace or kindness, or an embarrassing story you want to share, so I'm not the only one? Yes. So Rosanna, we used that, but we're not using it right now. Once we got our house plumbed and we're using our fridge water filter system, we mostly drink water out of the fridge, so we don't use the Berkey as much. We have well water. We're not on city water anymore. But yes, it did work. However, I do want to say, before I made that video, I didn't realize you're not supposed to fill the top until it's all the way emptied. And I forget, it's something about the way I don't remember. But if you go back and you look through the comments, you'll see there are comments about that. And I didn't realize that. You're supposed to empty the top and then refill it every time. So that's something that I learned after I made that video. All right, guys. So what else is going on? What else do you want to know about? What should we talk about tonight? Anything else? Okay, good. Let's see. Grateful people. In what sense? Like, you want to be people like we should be people who are grateful? I do want to talk about what we are grateful for. I'm not sure where you're going with that, Cheryl. And Chris isn't here to help spice things up. He's working. If you haven't already and you don't mind going through and hitting the thumbs up, I hate like trying to pimp myself like this, but it really does help YouTube know that there's engagement in the videos and that you guys want them to continue. Oh, Mama Gross is having pot pie for dinner. What's everybody having for supper tonight? If you haven't had it yet, or what did you have? I thawed out some homemade turkey soup that I had frozen before we left. I also emptied out my fridge today and fed the leftovers to the pigs of all the stuff that sat over the weekend. But we will have turkey soup when I get home tonight. And then I also put some chicken, little tenderloin, like the frozen ones from the store, in the crock pot with some barbecue sauce. So we can have salads and stuff this week. I like to have stuff pre-made. All right. That is really nice that you are, I think that was Cheryl that said that, right? That you're taking care of your neighbors. Yes. Has 2 of our fields and now a barn for lambs at no notice. We are feeding his ewes with lambs twice a day for him, not asking any payments. That is really kind of you. Tacos or rice bowls at Flying VS Farm. Yum, that sounds good. Yeah, where we live, our community, they're really good at taking care of each other. Ethan probably would have house sat for us for no payment. We do it. We can, so we do. But we have neighbors that come over and help out in a pinch all the time. Let's see. I think Kathleen's talking about barter. Try and find someone to feed our animals when we go in exchange for a butchered rabbit, but I have to pay a teenager to do it. Oh, yeah, barter is better. If you can find somebody to do things like that, that'd be great. All right, Cheryl, I'm hoping he's giving them to you as a thank you. I hope that's where the story's leading. Cheryl says that tonight she talked to him about 2 lambs that are no use to him. So I think the story's going to say that he's going to just give them to her, but we'll see. It might take a wild turn at the end. I don't know. Her last story had grass growing in a carpet, so, or not grass, but whatever that was, cress. Oh, want you to pay full market value. Oh well. Oh, Kathleen wants to know about keeping a pig in your backyard. If you are not zoned for farm animals, I would not keep a pig. Our pigs are noisy, and no, you could not keep it from digging too much. Not in a backyard. No, not unless you're getting some kind of like a pet pig that you're gonna train to. I don't know. They're just ours. See us and start squealing. You can hear them far, far away. Noisy. They are noisy little things. And they're herd animals. I wouldn't want to have just one pig either. It would get very lonely. Like I said, unless you're making a pet of it, which I guess there are people who have pet pigs. And I've seen on Marketplace the little like teacup pigs, and I don't know if they're just like fake and they just really do grow to full-size pigs, but they sell them as teacup because they're little. There are varieties of pigs who don't root as much, but I haven't had any that don't root at all. Yeah. Let's see, we're at about half an hour now. We might cut it short tonight and let you all get around to your suppers and everything else you have going on. Not quite as much to talk about tonight as we have had on previous live chats. I guess I could talk somewhat about plans for this upcoming year. Not real sure. This is the first live chat where I've kind of like come to dead space. So sorry guys, I'm just kind of trying to think what else we could talk about. Well, laurels. Am I afraid to get audited again? Oh, okay, so we're going back to our tech stuff. Justin Rhodes videos on his pigs. What am I going to grow this year? Anything I miss about California now that we've been away for a while? Okay, so there's several different questions. So we'll just kind of take them in order. No, I'm not afraid of itemizing, but I do pay I'm not afraid of being audited because I do pay an accountant. So the reason we got dinged, we believe is what an accountant told us is because we accidentally counted my mileage on 2 different forms instead of only counting it in one place. So if you have an accountant, I would not worry about it. They do it all the time, and they're going to be able to tell you what you can and can't do. So I pay for that peace of mind. But if you own your own home, if you're paying a mortgage on your own home, then the interest is all deductible. So I'm not sure, Kathleen, how much you could itemize. And like I said, the standardized deduction almost doubled this year. So you'd really just have to have a consultation and sit down with an accountant and see would it be to your advantage to do that or not. All right, and so somebody asked me what I'm planning on growing this year. I'm going to change the layout of my garden so it's more aesthetic, and I'm going to, for sure, try again carrots, peas, potatoes, onions, bell peppers, green beans. Those are things that we eat every week consistently. Kale, lettuce, beets. So I'm trying to think what else. I would like to do a Three Sisters garden again if I can. I'm gonna try some squashes. I'm probably gonna move my squash to a different spot because I had such a horrible plan with the squash bugs. So I'm gonna try that. There was something else I was gonna say. Trying to think if there's anything else we're gonna garden. I'll probably grow tomatoes just because they sell well. We don't eat a lot of tomatoes, but they grow pretty easy. Zucchini, we liked the zucchini, the squashes, pumpkins, butternut squash I might grow. I tried a Greek red squash last year, but the squash bugs got most of them. So I gotta try I'm gonna try neem oil to stay ahead. Our growing season, our first frost is mid-October, our last frost is mid-April. So I'm in zone 6B, and I'm down in the holler, and I there's nothing suggested that we plant in January. Seed trays we start in February. So that's what we're gonna grow. That's our growing season. Homestead in the Highlands, zone 8, short season. Long days though. In Alaska, they're probably close to that same thing, and there's some areas there where they grow huge vegetables in the short growing season. In the Matanuska Valley, near where I lived, it's amazing. Vicki, you're in zone 7, really? That's interesting. Because we're rather close to each other. I guess I'm a little bit south of you though, because I'm down right on the edge of the Ozark Mountains. Yeah, that's what it was like when I was in Anchorage. We had long hours of daylight too, Cheryl. So let's see, what else? Rebecca asked, what do I miss about California, if anything? Really, not much. I miss the people. When I lived in California, my tagline on my Facebook posts, I know most people didn't have much of a tagline on Facebook, but I did, and it was, I heart my sunny SoCal life, because I loved it so much. It was 70 and sunny year round, but I love my farm life, and the pace of life here is slower. Even though I'm busy, it's peaceful. One of our values was to live where we vacation. So to always feel, I mean, not that you feel like you're on vacation, I don't know if that makes sense, but to walk out our front door and we see pasture and we see trees and all of that. Okay, wait. So does it get? Are the higher zones? Now I got confused about zones. Is the higher the number a warmer zone or a cooler zone? Because Cheryl said, did you say 8, Cheryl? Yeah, she says zone 8. But now Mom Girl says zone 5B. So I wonder if they're different zoning things. Numbers, ratings, whatever. Different scales, I guess, is what if we're talking about 2 different scales. Because Cheryl's in Scotland, so. Higher number, warmer zone. Okay, so they must be, Cheryl's using a different scale. Yeah, it sounds like we're using 2 different zone scales. But yeah. So, yeah, that's what's going on here. Okay. All right, Rebecca says most people go by the USDA scale in America. All right. Well, folks, what are we at? About 45 minutes, 40 minutes now? And I think that's about it. Hey, somebody told me where the haulers ended up because I didn't watch the video yet. Where are they now? Cheryl says, closer to the Arctic Circle than to the south of England where I used to live. The USDA is closed. Sorry, I'm reading people's comments. Vicki, did you move to South Carolina? Oh, that's where they went. They went to one of the Carolinas. Ah, I gotcha. All right. She said maybe North Carolina too. All right, so it's one of the Carolinas. Well, that's good. That'd be good to watch them. That makes sense. Yeah, I was thinking. I was like, oh, that's where the roads are. All right. Well, shall we end it? Shall we say goodnight? Or is there more that you guys want to talk about? Oh, hey, Kathy, you almost did. We were just about talking about whether to log off, actually, because it's near the end of the chat. Thanks for popping on. We talked about having grace with others and with ourselves. And I think I have said this to someone in this chat. I won't call her out by name, but that was going through something and just like, I don't feel like doing anything and I'm just having such a hard time. And I said, you know, give yourself the grace that you would give a friend who's in this situation. It was a rough patch. Nobody do the dress thing. It's not good. I'm not sure what that is. Hey, Ashley's in the house. Hey, Mrs. Farm Alarm. Now I like totally. Oh, the crest thing. Yes. Nobody do the crest thing to anybody. That would be awful. And I was like, I said Ashley, and then I was like, wait. Which one's Ashley? Which one? Oh, it's Tracy and Ashley. Okay, it's Ashley. Like my brain went, like, did I get it right? And I did. So good. Yeah, so I was talking to my friend and I said, give yourself the grace that you would give somebody else in your situation. So I think that we are often hardest on ourselves and hardest on our families. So Mom H, you'll have to go back through the comments after the chat is up and read this story that Cheryl from Homestead in the Highland tells about when her neighbor left. So I will give a brief recap to my story, what I started off with was when I was in college, I house sat for my best friend's parents while they were gone, and I flooded their finished basement, overwatering their plants, killing all their flowers and all their fish. And then on the day that they were to come home, I left them a note and jetted. And I got a phone call a couple days later that asked me to stop by, and I kind of slunk back, tail between my legs, very embarrassed, very humiliated, very ashamed. I had done my best to take care of the basement, but it just was a disaster basically. And they very graciously paid me and said, things happen, but you didn't really follow the instructions we gave you, and you didn't, like, they had left a number of a phone number for a neighbor that if anything happened, that I didn't reach out to them like I was supposed to, and that perhaps I would just use this as a learning experience to evaluate whether I was up to a task before I took it on. So I mean, they were super, super kind about it. I don't remember the exact words they used at the time, but I just remember feeling just horrified and embarrassed. And for years, I couldn't talk about it. It's only within the last year or two that I can even talk about it like this. And probably because I spent last summer with them. And they were just never brought it up, never mentioned it. They treat me like family still. My best friend and I are still best friends, and to this day, and spend time together. And so it was just such an example of grace to me and a lesson to me of how I want to be with others. So that's what we were talking about. And then Cheryl at Homestead in the Highlands brought up the story about when her neighbor was not a very nice woman, and when she left, her the people she has to take care of her home were not gracious to her and did some unkind things. So that's what the Cress story is about. And then after that, I was talking about how it's important to me to be kind, that's a value that I have and hold highly, and that I try to embody graciousness and kindness, and that where I often find myself lacking that kindness and graciousness, sorry, I just kicked the stand, the iPad is on, is with my family, unfortunately. That they see the worst side of me rather than the best side of me. And then also myself. I have a tendency to not be as gracious and kind to myself as I would be to someone else in my position. And that I'm learning as I get older to show kindness to myself. So in the example that I was giving was my friend whose father passed away, and she was trying to take care of her mom and family and make arrangements and do all this, and she just she sent me a text because my father passed away 2 years ago, and she's like, how do you do it? How do you grieve and take care of your mom? How I feel like I'm suffocating. And I said, well, you have to show yourself grace and kindness, and you have to recognize that you're grieving, and it's okay to say, I need to be alone for a little while, and to leave and go take a walk or go to the park, or go sit down and look at your dad's pictures and cry what you need to grieve, and that the rest of your family will be okay for a little while, and to give yourself the grace that you would give a friend in that situation. And I think that that's important. And I told her, I said, it's like the airplane and the mask thing. We hear this so often that you have to put on your own face mask before you can help someone else. And I think especially, in her situation, if she didn't allow herself that time to grieve, it would always, she would look back at that time and that she would remember that time. It's not a pleasant time to be grieving anyway. I mean, there's no way to look back on that as a good time, but that she would look on that with that kind of like, I didn't get to grieve when I needed to. And I think we have to give ourselves the grace to take that those moments. And in so many ways, when we're sick and we're tired and we're trying to take care of our kids and our family and keep up our YouTube channel and meet all of our other commitments, and that it's okay sometimes to say, you know, I need to take a nap right now. And that's okay. It's okay. Because if I came to any one of you and I was like, you know, this is going on and this is going on, and I'm having all this anxiety, any one of you, I believe, would say, Lorella, take a breath. It's okay. You don't have to be superwoman and do it all the time. It's okay. Right? Any of you, is there anyone who would tell me, suck it up, buttercup, keep going, you know, pile more stuff on, take on more than you can handle? I don't think so. Chris would, because he likes to pick on me, right? But I don't think any of us would do that. So, really to a friend. So I think that it's important that we give ourselves the grace to rest when we need to grieve when we need to take a nap when we're sick, that kind of thing. I think it's important. Yes. All right, so let me go flip back. I see you guys are having a conversation over here, and I didn't really get to, let's see, where did I? Okay, so Cheryl at Homestead in the Highland makes a good point. She says, I found it possible to be gracious when I realized most people who are not nice are deeply unhappy, and then changed how I deal with those people. More kindness. That is true. Vicki, you would tell me suck it up. Sometimes we need that, right? Sometimes we need a little kick in the pants. And so I think it's important to have both. So Vine VS goes out to the chicken coop and get therapy. That's right. So sometimes you need someone. Roy says, suck it up, buttercup is the advice I mostly reserve for myself. And that's my point. That's my point, is that we are often, we deal more harshly with ourselves often than we would with others. So I just think give yourself the same kindness that you would give to someone else in your shoes. I think that's important. And, you know, I mean, it could be, I don't think any of you would take it to an extreme, but I think that, you know, I'm not saying that we need to be selfish, or that, you know, we just forget that everyone else has needs just because we're not feeling it today. You know, that's not what I'm saying. I think you all realize that I'm talking about in those times where we have true needs to be quiet and refresh ourselves. And I think that that's an important thing to do. Because grace wins. Grace wins. So I think that about sums it up. That's so cute. Hey Tracy. He says Henry thought I was talking about his sheep named Buttercup. That's a fantastic name for sheep, actually. No, I was not talking about your sheep, Henry. Buttercup is a name I use for myself sometimes. Well, I know that, oh, and Trish is just hopping on. We're just getting ready to close out, Trish. It's almost been an hour. Thanks for popping by. You are a little bit late, but that's okay. That's okay. You know what I'm going to tell you? And it will make no sense to you because you haven't seen anything till now. That's okay. Give yourself some grace. You can make it next time. Be kind to yourself. All right. I think I'm going to wrap it up now. It's about 55 minutes. Do you guys want to take a second and chat to each other, say your last goodbyes before I close it down? I can talk for another 5 minutes or so. I've been prattling on now for almost an hour. Hey Trisha, what's for dinner at your house? I'm having turkey soup later. And Rebecca's making tacos or something else. I forget what else she said. She hasn't decided yet. I vote tacos though. Leftover tater tots made into hash browns and sausage. Ooh, that sounds good. That sounds really good. So we had to talk about grace. We had to talk about kindness. We had to talk about revenge. And we talked about how Mom H changed her channel name. I'm going to have to get rid of that. Honey Hollow Homestead. So now you're HHH instead of Mom H. And I think that's about it. If everybody has said your goodbyes, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me. Oh, don't we wish we could just show up at her house? Barbecue steak. Kathy wins. Baked potatoes and green beans. Kathy, you win. Where are you at, Kathy? Put your address. We'll come on over. You'll always be my Mom H. I guess that's about it. Thank you so much. Have a good week, everybody. Next week again, and we'll see any topics that you want to talk about. Let me know, and we'll see what we can make happen for you. All right, I'm going to just kind of let you guys finish out, and then I'm going to close it down. Bye.